Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second episode in this podcast series, Sparkle Sparkle with Mr. Francy. I am so excited to be back here. It is Friday once again, Friday the 4th of February 2022. I hope you guys have been having an amazing week. You guys, I am so excited. This is my first time that I'm taking the podcast public on YouTube. So, yee! I hope you guys are enjoying it. If it's the first time you're here, welcome. And if you are returning after the first one, welcome back. We have so much to discuss today, you guys. I am very, very, very excited. But as per usual, we're going to start off with the Sparkle Sparkle exercise. Yes, it's so much fun and a great way to get into the podcast. So, if you have not done the Sparkle Sparkle exercise before, that's totally fine. You can do this either standing up or sitting down. But what we're going to do is we're going to start shaking our arms and our hands about. It looks a little bit silly, but that's okay because no one's going to be judging us. Now, while you're doing this, I want you to imagine sparkles flying out of your hands, and all of those sparkles are going to surround you with the most positive, sparkly of energy. So let's go. Let's sparkle, 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 sparkle. And we're going to end with a wonderful flourish in 3, 2, 1. Woohoo! Yes! Fantastic. Good work, everyone. I hope you're feeling that positive energy surrounding you. Let's get right into it. I'm so excited. As I said, this is the first time I'm bringing the podcast publicly to YouTube. Say hello, everyone out there. I hope you're doing very well. I hope you've had an amazing reading week. If you have not joined me for my podcast before, I discuss all different things on this podcast, really. I had someone ask me once, what is the podcast based around, Mr. Francy? And I really couldn't give them an answer. I mean, predominantly it's based around reading, but there are other things that might pop up every now and again. Who knows? It's Sparkle Sparkle with Mr. Francy, where anything is possible. All right, let's start off with reading, talking about what I have been reading this past week. And you guys, I have started a series that has just been so amazing that I can't wait to discuss it with you. So let's get right into it. I'm talking to you about the Amish Candy Shop series. Now, this is an adult cozy mystery series written by Amanda Flower. Book 1 in this series is called Assaulted Caramel. Now, the protagonist for this book is a woman by the name of Bailey King, who needs to go back to her former home in Amish country. She no longer lives in Amish country, but her grandparents do, and her grandfather is deathly ill. Her grandparents run an Amish candy shop. How amazing does that sound? Trust me, it's better than you can imagine when you start reading it. Now, when Bailey gets back home to help out her grandparents, they're very excited to see her. She goes to bed that night, excited to work with them in their candy shop the very next day. Now, before I go any further, I will say that Bailey came to her grandparents from New York, where she is a qualified chocolatier. She is doing so extremely well in her career that she's looking to be promoted very, very, very soon. But family comes first, so she's gone over to see her grandparents. That night, unfortunately, Bailey can't sleep, so she goes downstairs to where the candy shop is. Her grandparents live upstairs above the candy store, and when she gets down there, it is only to find a man that has been stabbed to death laying sprawled out on the candy shop floor. Shock, horror. What is Bailey King going to do? And of course, now they can't even open the store tomorrow. Unfortunately, this man has been stabbed with a knife that Bailey used hours before to cut up some candy, so her fingerprints are on the knife, which makes her a top suspect. It is a race against time for Bailey King to try and determine who the actual killer is in order to prove her innocence. I loved this book, you guys, so much. When it comes to cozy mysteries, and in case you didn't know, I am a very much eclectic reader. I read all different types of genres. But when it comes to cozies, I love cozy mysteries that deal with both aspects equally. Those aspects being the murder aspect, and the second aspect being the cozy aspect. The reason a cozy mystery is called a cozy mystery, in case you've never read them, is because they're meant to be a cozy, comfortable type of read. Usually, 95% of the time, a murder does occur, but the murder occurs off the page, so you don't see all of the gruesome stuff that happens when the person is getting murdered. But we do have a murder investigation that usually happens in a cozy, where an amateur sleuth, in this case Bailey, will try and determine who the murderer is. And then we have the cozy aspects where we get to learn more about our protagonist and what makes them who they are in a cozy way. So in this case, we get to learn more about Bailey being a chocolatier and their candy shop that her grandparents run and all things to do with sweets. It was just so fantastic and I highly recommend it. I gave it an overwhelming 5 stars. I loved it so much that when I finished Assaulted Caramel, I picked up book 2 in the series, which was not originally on my TBR. Now, book 2 is called Lethal Licorice, and in book 2, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil a lot, but I will say there is a cooking competition or a candy cooking competition that takes place. The twist with this elimination round by round competition is that the chefs in the competition, the cooks in the competition, can only use Amish equipment. So anything electrical is out. Oh, you guys, book 2, if anything, was better than book 1, which I didn't even think was possible. I love this series so much, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it, especially if you love candy as much as I do. Oh my gosh, you guys. Now, it's not just me. I have a couple of comments from my beautiful friends over on the Discord who have said their thoughts and feelings. First up, we have a comment from O'Jane. Hi, O'Jane, and thank you for your comment. O'Jane said that she liked it. What's not to like when chocolate's involved? Oh my gosh, I completely agree, O'Jane. I loved everything to do with the food in this book. I just thought it was so fantastic. So I'm right with you there. We also have the Cozy Reader Life commenting, I liked it, that is Assaulted Caramel, but the second book, which I just read, I liked better. So you're just like me, the Cozy Reader Life. Excellent. Cozy Reader Life went on to say, I hope to get to the next one soon. Well, I'm hoping to get to it soon too. Maybe we can buddy read it together, the Cozy Life. Thank you for your comment. And finally, Ria said, I really enjoyed it. Again, this is Assaulted Caramel, book 1. Ria gave it 4 stars and said, I'll probably continue as soon as I'm in a cozy mood again. Yeah, I understand that. As an eclectic reader myself who reads multiple genres pretty much every single month until this month, we'll discuss that in just a moment, I can understand that sometimes you'll be in a mood for a cozy and sometimes you won't. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you think, Ria, if you do continue on with the series when you are next in the mood for a cozy. Alright, well, speaking of me reading different types of books every single month except for this month, in case you weren't aware, I am holding my very first readathon in the month of February, and I'm so excited about this. I've been on BookTube for over 2 years now, and I've never hosted a readathon, you guys, but this one just seems to be right up my alley. One of my goals for 2022 was to read as many cozy mysteries as I could, and this readathon will definitely help me do that, because, my friends, I am doing the Cozy It Up with Mr Francy readathon. Now, this readathon is going to be a bingo board of 9 prompts, and the goal, if you wish to get involved, is to try and get a bingo if you can, by either going up or down, or, diagonal, or somehow getting 3 in a row, or if you get all of them, you get a blackout. So, here are the prompts in case you want to get involved. Okay, so prompt number 1 is a cozy with the food on the cover. So if it has food, it is in. Prompt number 2 is a cozy by an author you've never read. Always good to try something new. Prompt number 3 is a cozy by an author you have read before. Maybe there's a cozy author you love. What a great opportunity to read one of their books. Prompt number 4 is to listen to a cozy mystery on audiobook, because why not? Variety is the spice of life. Why not do some audiobook listening as well as physical reading? Prompt number 5 is a cozy with the word murder in the title. Now, if you are a massive cozy mystery reader, you probably already know this, but if you're not, most of the cozy mystery books that I know of either have the word murder or death in the title. So it won't be too hard, but that is prompt number 5. Prompt number 6 is a culinary cozy. Now, for those of you who don't know what culinary means, totally fine. A culinary book is a book that deals with food and or cooking. So if you have a cozy mystery that deals with food, like the Amish Candy Shop Mystery Series, obviously it deals with candy, then that would work for that prompt. Prompt number 7 is an arts and crafts cozy. So a cozy with arts and crafts as the theme. Prompt number 8 is a paranormal or fantasy cozy. So some type of magic or supernatural in the theme of the cozy. And prompt number 9 is one that everyone can get involved in. It is a cozy with the prettiest cover, because you guys, cozy mysteries just have the most prettiest covers. So for that one, I'm just asking everyone who's getting involved to take a picture of the cover and show it to me. If you would like to get involved in this, we are talking all things about the Cozy It Up with Mr. Francy Readathon over on my Discord, the link to which is in the description. So come along and join us if you have not already. Alright, now let's move on to the next thing that I wanted to discuss with you guys, which was the most recent book that I finished. Because you guys, I need to talk about this. It was interesting, to say the very least. So the most recent book that I read was a cozy, my first cozy of the month, and it fulfilled that first prompt, cozy with food on the cover. It is called Glazed Murder, and this book on the cover says that it is by a woman called Jessica Beck. Now, Jessica Beck is actually a pseudonym name for a male author by the name of Tim Myers, which I was so excited about going into this book for many, many, many reasons. Again, I believe I've said the title, but if I haven't, Glazed Murder is the book title. It is book 1 in the Donut Shop mystery series. Now, I was really excited to go into this book for a number of reasons. One of them being to read a cozy mystery by a male author. I had not done that before, and I didn't know of any male authors who had written a cozy, so I was extremely excited going into this one. However, you guys, unfortunately, as excited as I was, this book just had some things that stopped me from enjoying the book, I guess. So I'll talk to you guys about them. One of the things that I was also excited about when it came to Glazed Murder was reading a cozy mystery that's set in a donut shop. I mean, the idea of it, it's just so tantalizing. I am so there. Why wouldn't I want to read a cozy mystery set in a donut shop, you guys? Oh my goodness. Can you imagine the amount of things the author can do when at a donut shop? Oh my goodness. Unfortunately, Tim Meyer, aka Jessica Beck, did not take every opportunity that he could on with the cozy side of this cozy mystery, and that is one of the first things that did let me down. Now, as I was intimating earlier, one of the best recipes for a cozy mystery is when you have the mystery side of the book as well as the cozy side of the book. Now, for me, if you want to look at stats, I prefer when my cozy mysteries are 50% mystery and 50% cozy. That did not happen in Glazed Murder. Unfortunately, in Glazed Murder, it was more like 90% mystery and 10% cozy, to the point where, you guys, I actually started questioning for quite a while reading this book, why is it marketed as a cozy mystery? Why isn't it just marketed as a mystery or even a culinary mystery? I mean, well, maybe not even a culinary mystery. Anyway, now, let me explain just how this came to be, that it was 90% mystery rather than 50% mystery. So, Earlier on in the week, I was having a wonderful chat with the lovely ladies from Killing Time with Cozies. If you have not heard of them before, they have a Discord. I highly recommend checking them out. They are wonderful and they talk all things cozy all the time. So if you love your cozies and you haven't met them yet, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Now, with Glazed Murder by Jessica Beck, I was speaking to the lovely ladies of Killing Time with Cozies about when the murders should come up in a cozy mystery. In other words, whereabouts in the book should the murder take place? Should it be at the end of the first chapter, after the first 5 chapters? Should it be halfway through the book? What was their thought? Now, the interesting thing for me is that my cozy mystery journey started last year. I think it was the end of November, the beginning of December, somewhere around there. I read the first 3 books in the Christmas Tree Farm series by Jacqueline Frost, which is a pseudonym name for author Julie Ann Lindsay. I love these books. They have a lot of things in common. For example, the theme is Christmassy. It's Christmas to the umpteenth degree in every single book. But another thing that they have in common is that the murder takes place at the end of chapter 1 in every book. Then, in January of this year, I think I read about 3 or 4 different cozies, and the murders took place at all different stages of each book. And that's why I brought up the question. Well, the response I was given was, it really does vary book to book. Let me tell you guys, I am fine with that, but what shocked me was that the murder in Glazed Murder takes place before the book begins, which I've never experienced, and if you have, let me know, because that surprised me, and the murder is brought up in sentence 2. Paragraph 1, sentence 2. We are talking about the murder that has already happened, and this is book 1 in a series. This was not what I was expecting. Look, I like for the murder to take place early so that we know that the murders happen, we know who the victim is, and we can already start trying to work out who the killer is for that 50% of the murder side of a cozy mystery. But the second sentence in a book, I mean, give us time to get to know our characters. And this is where Julie Ann Lindsay, with her Christmas Tree Farm series, I think did well with her books, because we get that first chapter to get to know our main character and other characters and get to know our situation of how things are going with our protagonist and their friends and such alike before the murder happens, and not in sentence 2, what's going on here? So I thought, okay, maybe Tim Myers wants to get the murder out the way incredibly early on, and then we'll have a lot of cozy stuff that happens afterwards, but at least the murder's taken care of. But this did not happen. As I said, 90% of the book was all about the murder, and only 10% of the book was cozy. You guys, I don't even know what I was reading, and it's going to be really hard to explain the premise of this book when I go to do so, because I mean, there just wasn't enough cozy stuff that happened. So that disappointed me. But if that's not enough, now we're going to talk about something that just really annoyed me. Now, it might sound nitpicky to you, but you guys, it happened so many times that I just started saying it before it would prop up in the book. And this is what it is. It is the word said. Okay, so let's talk the word said. What does said mean or even imply? Well, the word said, when it comes up in a book, is referring to someone who is saying something. So they'll say something, and then we have the word said, followed by the character's name who has said whatever it is. So, for example, we might have the sentence, my friend came into the store. Hi, I said. How are you? Something like that. Instead, Tim Myers has written this book in a way that goes more along the lines of, my friend came in the store. I said, hi, how are you? She said, I'm good, how are you? And it just really started annoying me that the word said would come up before the actual quote. It's definitely not something I'm used to. Are you guys used to this? Have you seen this before? Let me know, because seriously, I got to the point, I think about a quarter of the way through the book, where I was jumping in before I heard it, because I was listening to it on audiobook, before I heard the narrator say said, going, said, I said, she said, he said. It was just annoying me so much I wanted to beat the narrator to the punch. Now, it's not to say that Tim Myers doesn't have moments where the quote comes first and then the word said, but I would say about 85% of the time, no lie, said comes first, then the quote, and that just really bugged me. So that on top of it being, you know, majority of it being about the mystery rather than the cozy, it just really wasn't the book for me. So I end up giving this book 2 stars. I won't be continuing on with the series, which is the first time for me reading a cozy mystery series where I'm not going to read the next book. So really, really sad. But if you've read this book, let me know what you thought. Maybe you loved it. And if you did, that's great. I want to hear your opinion. One of the best things about readers is that we all have different opinions and we all love different things. So that's the only book that I've read so far in the month of February. Let's turn our attention to what I plan to read for the rest of the week. So I'm currently reading, I've just read the first chapter of my next book, which is called The Secret Book and Scone Society by Ellery Adams. So all of the books are going to be cozy mysteries, obviously, and this is my first time reading an Ellery Adams book. All I can tell you is that we are following a protagonist whose job it is to listen to people who have problems and then assign them a book to help them get through whatever is ailing them. And I just think this sounds like an absolutely amazing idea. Like, can you imagine going to someone, telling them your problems, and then they turn around and say, you know what, for you, I recommend this book. I mean, oh, fantastic. There's more, obviously, to it than that, but I think that's more than enough to get you guys intrigued, and I'll let you know in next week's podcast how I went with that one. After I finish that book, I'm going to be reading the first 2 books in the Death by Chocolate series. Now, these books are by Sarah Graves. Book 1 is Death by Chocolate Cherry Cheesecake, and Book 2 is Death by Chocolate Malted Milkshake. Now, I don't remember what prompt I had Death by Chocolate Cherry Cheesecake for my Cozied Up with Mr Francy readathon. However, I have been told that Death by Chocolate Malted Milkshake contains a wedding within the book, and the lovely ladies at Killing Time with Cozies have 2 scavenger hunt picks that they do every month. For the month of February, the first scavenger hunt pick is to read a book with a skull on the cover, which for me was Glazed Murder. There's a skull on the cover. And for Death by Chocolate Malted Milkshake, this is perfect because the second scavenger hunt pick is a book with a wedding theme. So yay! Really, really excited about those ones. Now, you guys, I was so disappointed with Glazed Murder, and I kept thinking back to Assaulted Caramel and Lethal Licorice and how much I loved these books, that by the time I got to the end of Glazed Murder, I decided to make a deal with myself. And you guys, right here, right now, are going to be the first to hear of this deal that I have made. Now, I am a TBR traditionalist. Now, if you don't know what TBR stands for, it stands for to be read. When I say TBR, I'm referring to the books that I plan to read that month. Generally speaking, I work out the books I want to read each month before the month begins, then I do my TBR video, and being a traditionalist, I stick to those books. However, I'm going to break my TBR if this deal works out. Now, my plan is to get through The Secret Book and Scone Society, Death by Chocolate Cherry Cheesecake, and Death by Chocolate Malted Milkshake by the 12th of January. If I finish those 3 books before the 12th of January, then I'm going to reward myself by reading book 3 in the Amish Candy Shop series, which makes me so incredibly excited, which is called Premeditated Peppermint. Oh, you guys, so excited. We'll see if this happens. I don't want to put too much pressure on myself. I'm just going to see how I go. But for sure, if I finish all 3 books before the 12th of January, Premeditated Peppermint will be on my TBR for February. We are in February. For February. And so I'm really excited about that. All right, you guys. Now, we are getting closer to wrap-up time, but before we go, last week I put my podcast up onto my Discord server, and I asked everyone over on the Discord server if they had any questions they wanted to ask me for this week's podcast. I am really happy to say that I got some questions that came through, and for the rest of the time, we are going to look at what those questions were, and I'm going to answer them. So, let's get right on into it. All right, now, before I do, actually, if you'd like to ask a question of me to be answered in the podcast, you can do so on my Discord. I think I've said this already, but in case I haven't, link to my Discord is in the description, so it's only a click away. All right, let's get on to these questions. Question number 1 comes from Sophia42. Sophia asks, I have a really silly question, which you don't really have to include on your podcast. Oh, bless Sophia. Now I'm really intrigued. I'd like to know if you've been on the Neighbours tour. My sister is a big fan and still watches to this day. All right, to my wonderful international listeners. Neighbours is like a drama, soapy type of TV show that we have over here in Australia. I think you guys in the UK might know this show because I think it does air over there as well. Now, there are 2 major soapy TV type shows over here in Australia. The first being Neighbours, the second being Home and Away. Growing up, I really didn't enjoy Neighbours that much. I was much more partial to Home and Away. But Neighbours is filmed in Melbourne. Home and Away is filmed in Sydney. So, in case you didn't know, I live in Melbourne. Anyway, I have not been on the Neighbours tour, so unfortunately, my answer is no to that, but if I come across anyone who has been, I'll be sure to ask them about that and let you know, Sophia. But no question is too silly for this podcast. The only condition I have, guys, is because we don't know who could be listening, let's make the questions child-friendly, yeah? But thank you so much for your questions, Sophia. I really do appreciate it, and sorry to disappoint you, but I haven't been on the tour yet. All right, Sparkle, Sophia, thank you very much. All right, next question is from Liam the Vampire. I love that username. Liam asks, does reading ever stress you out, like feeling anxious about not finishing a certain amount of books? Liam, this is a really good question, and I'm glad you asked me this question now, because over the course of the 2 years that I have been on BookTube, I have gone through moments where reading did stress me out, and I did go through some anxiety about not finishing a certain amount of books. I assume you mean in a month, because my TBRs are, as I say, monthly. And yeah, so I did go through that. In fact, really interestingly, I recently have started going back through my reading vlogs from 2020. And in the month of June in 2020, I ended up getting really far behind on my TBR. I ended up getting 2 books behind, which may not sound like a lot, but all of the books I read in June of 2020 were really long, like minimum of 400, maximum of about 700 pages. So that's a lot to be behind on, and I stressed so much about it. I think the reason for this had a lot to do with being on BookTube. Now, BookTube does not place any pressure onto me, and nor do I think BookTube places pressure onto any single booktuber, but I do believe that booktubers themselves place that pressure onto themselves to read a certain amount of books per month because, hey, I'm on BookTube, so I should be seen to read a certain amount. And I'll admit I definitely felt that way in 2020, that I should be reading in the double digits at least. But as time's gone on, things have definitely changed for me, and I've gone from looking at reading as a job to looking at reading as something that I love to do. So for me, I no longer worry or get anxious about reading not enough books, because you can never read too many, right? But not enough books for the month. In fact, in January, I read the least amount of books that I've read in any month since being on BookTube, which was 6, or was it 7? It was 7 because of the fact that I read Lethal Licorice as well. Had I not read Lethal Licorice, it would have been 6, which was my original plan. So really, I was fine with that. I would have been fine finishing with Assaulted Caramel and rounding out the month with 6 books. And yeah, I mean, because at the end of the day, okay, let me take a backward step here. I love TBR videos on BookTube. So for those of you who don't know, once again, TBR stands for to be read. Generally speaking, a booktuber will put out a TBR video either right before the beginning of the month or just after the month has started, talking about all the books they plan to read in that month. I love TBR videos. I feel like TBR videos, as well as their opposite, their counterpart, monthly wrap videos, where you talk about all the books that you've read in that month, are the cornerstones of BookTube. So I've been promoting this on my channel for quite some time because there are a lot of bigger booktubers who seem to be phasing out their TBR videos and their monthly wraps, and I would love to see them coming back. But see, the thing is, a lot of people ask me, well, Mr. Francy, how many books should I be putting on my TBR? Maybe I don't have enough to do a TBR video. And the way I see it, if you plan to read one book in a certain month, that is a TBR, because again, TBR stands for to be read. So there's no problem in my mind doing a TBR video on BookTube where you're saying the one book I plan to read this month is this book, and maybe you'll talk a little bit about your thoughts and feelings going into it. The reason I'm bringing this backstory up is because for me, I don't see it that there is a minimum or a maximum that you should be getting through each and every month. And so because of that, I no longer have that anxiety, but I used to. So my dear friend Liam, if you are going through any sort of anxiety, if this is anything related to you, please do let me know, and I hope that I can help you through that. For me, as I said, I was there in 2020, but I managed to work through that, and now I am reading for me, and it's a bonus to talk about whatever amount of books that I've read per month. So I hope that answers your questions, and sparkle, Liam. Thank you so much. All right, the next question comes from Cheryl, and Cheryl asks, do you have any special place you like to read, and what do you like to have at hand when snuggling down to read? Oh, very good questions, Cheryl. Okay, so first of all, as far as do I have any special place that I like to read? Not really. It just depends on where I am and when I can fit in the time to read. But I will say this, I have read at home and I have read out in public. And when I say out in public, I mean like if I'm on a work break or whatever, I might go out to a park bench on my lunch break and read or whatever. And I must say, I do prefer to read at home because I do find it very distracting being out in public and having people passing by and loud cars and everything like that. So my answer would be I prefer to read at home. I think the most comfortable place for me to read would probably be in my room, but really I could probably read anywhere, provided it is at home and that there isn't too much noise, because I am one of those people who, if I am reading and there's just a slight little bit of noise, it is going to distract me and pull me out of the book. So I need absolute silence when I read. But to the second part of your question, Cheryl, which was what do you like to have at hand when you're snuggling down to read? This depends on how I go about my reading. If I am reading a physical book, I like to have maybe a snack on me, so maybe some crisps or something, and a drink, just to keep up that sustenance, I suppose. If I'm listening to an audiobook, I love having my crocheting equipment on me. I love crocheting, you guys. I learned to crochet when I was younger. My mother crocheted all the time and she taught me. So when I listen to an audiobook, I find it hard to just sit there and not be doing anything physically. So, and I've crocheted for so long now that I've almost feel like I'm on autopilot when I crochet. So that works. I'm still moving my hands, but at the same time, because I'm on autopilot, I'm still 100% taking in the audiobook. So I hope that answers your question there, Cheryl, and sparkle to you. Thank you so much for your question. The next question comes from Cast a Spell. And Cast a Spell's question, which again, I love that name, is how did you start loving to read? The first book that truly made you love reading. Yeah, so very, very good question. So I have been reading, oh gosh, goodness me, for as long as I can remember. I used to have a running joke on my channel that I was reading books in the womb before I was born. Because I honestly don't remember how old I was when I started reading. Really, maybe, I don't know, as early as when I started to talk, I started reading. But yeah, for the longest time, especially prior to being able to talk, being able to talk in complete sentences anyway, I had people that were reading to me. So I grew up around books. So my mum would read books to me, my dad would read books to me. So I had that experience of listening to them and having them share a story with me. But from the moment I was able to read, I did. Fortunately for me, back in the day, and I'm kind of revealing my age here, but back in the day when I was a child, Disney used to bring out these picture books, and the picture books would come with an audio cassette tape. That shows my age. Anyone here not know what an audio cassette tape is? Let me know, because I mean, that shows the youngness of how young you are, and that's a beautiful thing. But anyway, back in my day, we had cassette tapes, and these were basically what I now call an audiobook. So someone would narrate the book on tape, and you would read and follow along as you're listening to the audio cassette tape. And I did that for many, many, many years growing up. And then finally, I weaned myself off of following along with audiobooks, and started reading physical books. And I fell in love with my primary school, which is the Australian term that we use. In America, you use the term elementary school. When I was in that year level, I fell in love with my library so very quickly, to the point that my librarian and I not only became well acquainted, but she would order in books just for me. And I remember even going through do you guys remember the Choose Your Own Adventure books? I used to read them all the time as a child. I used to love them. If you've never read a Choose Your Own Adventure book, I highly recommend them. They're so much fun. But yeah, and then I would just kept reading from primary school age, basically. To your second question, Cast a Spell, the first book that truly made me love reading, that I can easily answer. And again, this depends on the book version you have in your own country. But if it's in Australia or the UK, I'm talking about Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. If you're in the US, I'm talking about Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, because for some unbeknownst reason, they thought that America couldn't handle having the word philosopher on the title. I still don't understand that. But anyway, my mother found out that the first three books had been released, and she purchased them for me because she knew how much I loved reading, and she knew how much I loved magic. Little did she know that I wouldn't like or love, but rather I would become obsessed with these three books. I read them over and over and over again until the fourth book came out. Then I read book 4, went back to book 1, read 1, 2, 3, 4 over and over and over again until book 5 came out. Then I added that into the rotation, and I did that for years. And that all started with Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. So that's my answer for that one. And I know that Caster loves Harry Potter as well. So shout out to you, Caster. Yeah, Caster and we speak over. I have a channel on my Discord where we talk about Harry Potter. We've been talking for the last couple of days. It's been so much fun. And so a big shout out to you. Hi. And thank you, Sparkle Sparkle. Thank you for your question. All right, the next question comes from O'Jane, and O'Jane asks, what is one genre you won't read, and which genre which genre you haven't read that you want to try? Okay, I'm going to answer this in reverse order because I don't think I have an answer for the second one. I'm a very eclectic reader. Let me see if I can remember all of the different types of genres that I have read. I read fantasy, sci-fi, mysteries, thrillers, horrors, cozies, paranormals, classics, romance, straight romance and LGBTIQ plus romance, dystopians, historical fiction, I think I said cozy mysteries already. If I'm missing anything from that list, let me know. I tried a few adventure books as well. So if I'm missing a genre, let me know. So yeah, I don't know if there are any other genres that I still need to try, but if I'm missing one, please let me know, because I was so excited when I found out in June last year about cozy mysteries, because I'd never heard of them before. So there you go. Let me know. But the first part of your question, Jane, was what is one genre you won't read? Yeah, so this one I can easily answer for you, and that would have to be westerns. They're just not my jam. So I'll explain why, because, I don't know, maybe my listeners have all different reasons why they think I don't like them, so I'll explain. As someone who absolutely loves, adores fantasy books with high fantasy and low fantasy, hard magic systems, soft magic systems. I love magic, magic, magic. The idea of having two characters going into a battle or a brawl with something as human as a gun, it just bores me. I'd much prefer to see some over-the-top waving of the arms while we're casting a massive spell than just boom, you're dead. It just doesn't work for me at all, honestly. I think I would have no problem reading a cozy western, but as far as the standard western, it just, I don't know, the idea of draw, it just doesn't work for me. I'm sorry. But Sparkle, Sparkle, and thank you for your question, Jane. That was a good one. All right, another one from Liam the Vampire. 2 questions this week. Thank you, Liam. Liam asks, what is a genre you tried to get into but still don't care for? Oh gosh, that is a very good question. I'm not going to go with westerns for that one because I already answered that. I don't think I have an answer outside of westerns. I will say that for the longest time in the past, my answer would have been historical fiction, because I tried a number of historical fictions in the past that just didn't work for me. But then I came to realize it wasn't necessarily the genre, but the book itself. So I, at some point, read a book by Carlos Ruiz Zafón called The Shadow of the Wind, which is a historical fiction that I absolutely loved. And then last year I read a book, I believe it's by Sarah Penner, called The Lost Apothecary, which I absolutely loved as well. So while I would have said historical fiction in the past, I don't know if I can do that now. I don't think I can just say a genre. I think it would be more saying a genre and then saying specifics about that genre. So, yeah, a historical fiction might work for me. Most of the time it doesn't. Who knows? Sci-fis, if I read a science fiction where the sci-fi terminology is over the top, which is generally speaking the case with adult sci-fi, then I don't like it. It gives me a bit of a headache. An example of that would be oh gosh, now I can't think of what it's called. Yes, I can. All Systems Red by Martha Wells, which is the first book, which is a novella in the Murderbot series. There was so much over-the-top sci-fi terminology in that book that it turned me off so quickly, despite it being a novella. And so I've noticed that if a sci-fi doesn't have too much terminology, then I really do enjoy it. But if it has too much, then it's too much for me. So I can't just out and out say this genre point blank period. It's more this genre with these conditions. But thank you for that question, Liam. Sparkle, sparkle. All right, let's keep going. Meg the Bibliophile, what a name, says, how did you get into liking cozy mysteries? That is a very good question. So thank you very much for that one, Meg. So I have to give a very big, massive shout out to 2 particular booktubers. First of all, to Jessica from Lady Lovestead Reads. Now, Jessica's amazing. If you're not following her, go check out her channel. She's just wonderful. The way she overanalyzes her books, it's just a real treat. So definitely check her out. Last year, at some point, Jessica was talking about a particular cozy mystery series called the Spelford Cove series by Samantha Silver. This is a paranormal cozy mystery series. The more Jessica spoke about this series, the more I wanted to give it a go. So I purchased book number 1 called The Witching Flower, and I read it and absolutely loved it. Then through Jessica, I met the lovely ladies at Killing Time with Cozies, and through them, I met Tiffany from the Beach Bum Bookworm, who, if you haven't checked out her channel, I absolutely recommend it because she is amazing as well, and she will always make your day. She has so much energy, Tiffany. Lots of love for her. Sparkle, sparkle. If there's any booktuber who has sparkles coming out of their mouth because of how much energy they have, it's Tiffany. So I love you, Tiffany. Massive shout out for you. Tiffany recommended the Christmas Tree Farm series. Had to think there. Christmas Tree Farm series by Jacqueline Frost that I was telling you guys about earlier. She recommended those to me. So it was both of those two who got me into cozies. So how did I get into liking them? Other than being recommended them, whether it was directly or indirectly, Tiffany directly recommended Christmas Tree Farm series. Jessica indirectly recommended the Spelford Cove series. I think it was just more trial and error, giving them a go and seeing what I thought. And once I finished The Witching Flower, I loved it so much that when I reviewed that book, I literally said, if this is an accurate representation of what cozy mysteries are, then yes, sign me up. I am so on board. And then the next book that I read after The Witching Flower was that first book in the Christmas Tree Farm series, 12 Slays of Christmas by Jacqueline Frost. And I loved that book too. Both of those received 5 stars. So I started off on such a good journey with my cozies, and that's what got me into it. But thank you for that question, Meg. Really appreciate it. Sparkle, sparkle. All right. The final question is from Stephanie G. And Stephanie G asks, if you could live in any fictional world, which would you choose and why? Oh, Stephanie G, how much time do you have? I mean, you know what I would love to do, and I know this is cheating, but so I won't make this my answer, but this is how I'm going to start answering your question. I would love to have like a little object on me where I start in one fictional world, and then anytime I throw the object up into the air, it becomes like a portal and allows me to just portal into another fictional world, and I'll just keep going and experience all of them. It's really, really tough to choose where I'd like to go. I'd love to go to, oh gosh, is it called Scadrial? I think it is. That's so bad. When I say where it's from, you're going to realize why that's so bad for me. The world the world that the first era of Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson is set in. Is it Scadrial? Oh my goodness. I don't remember the world names that well, but I love that world, so I would love to go in there and hang out with those characters. Of course, Harry Potter world, why not? I would live at Hogwarts easily. But there are many others as well that I would love to hang out in. The Nevermore World by Jessica Townsend. Oh my gosh. The Deucalion, the hotel, there's a hotel in a fantasy world called the Deucalion in the Nevermore series. I'd love to hang out there. Oh gosh, I'm just looking at my books at the moment to see if I'm drawing any other inspiration, but so far I would love, love, love to live in those areas. I think we'll leave it at that for the moment. As much as I love the Shadowhunters or Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare, I don't think I'd want to live in that world. I don't think I'd want to live in that world unless I was buddy with Alec. But anyway, for those of you who know me, you know that because I love Alec. But yeah, I'd probably go with the Harry Potter world in the end. I think it would just be so interesting to live at Hogwarts and experience not only the culture there, but all the classes. So I'd probably have to go with Hogwarts there. All right. So we're now coming towards the end of this. This was a lot longer than my last one. So let's talk about what's coming up for this week. Okay, first, wait, before I do actually, I just want to take the opportunity to thank Stephanie G for all of her beautiful morning pictures on the Discord. So you guys, I love my Discord, and let me tell you, I'm extremely active on my Discord. In fact, one of the first things I do when I wake up every day is I go on the Discord and wish everyone a good morning. And then one of the last things I do before I go to bed at night is I say goodnight to everyone. So I am very active on my Discord all the time. So if you come on over there and join us, you'll notice that. But Stephanie always seems to respond to my good mornings with these really beautiful pictures that say good morning in one way, shape or form that make my day. So Stephanie, a special shout out to you. I am just loving all of them, so please keep them up. All right, now I also want to give out a couple of other shout outs. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Hannah. I will leave the link to her channel in the description below because it escapes me for the moment, but what her channel name is. But recently, my dear friend Hannah started her own booktube channel, and guys, I'm all about supporting small booktubers. I just think she's wonderful, so please go over and support her. Again, the link to that will be down there. I want to give a shout out to Zach and Casey from Books and Bops as well. Those guys are amazing. I will link them. I've already shouted out Tiffany. I've shouted out Jessica. I'll shout out Lee from the Dark Roots Creations. Wonderful booktuber also. Stormy as well from Storm Reads. And there are just a host of so many others that are so amazing. So if I haven't mentioned you, let me know. Leave a comment in the podcast channel on my Discord and I will shout out your channel in the next episode. All right. Now let's turn to what's coming up this week. All right. First of all, I want to talk about 2 reading sprints that are coming up because I love reading sprints, you guys. And I don't know, if it were me and the roles were reversed and I was listening to a podcast, I'd love to, get the advertisements of when the next reading sprints are happening. So I can tell you about 2 of them. But if you have a reading sprint coming up during the weeks of any months of the year, let me know in the Discord and I can shout you out as well. But I have 2 that I'll shout out. First up, coming up is Stormy from Storm Reads. She will be doing a reading sprint on Saturday. And Tiffany from the Beach Bum Bookworm will be doing one on Wednesday. Now, I believe both of these will be at 6 p.m. Eastern US time. So not 6 p.m. Australian time, but they are respectively on Saturday and Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern US time. So do come along and enjoy the fun. Both of them just create amazing reading sprints. If you want to get reading done, let me tell you, there is no better way to get a lot of reading done than to get involved in a sprint. So there you go. All right, now let's see what else we have on the agenda. If you have anything you'd like for me to shout out, have any suggestions for next week's podcast, reading topics or suggestions for videos you'd like to see on the channel, simply let me know over on the Discord. Once again, I'm going to be finishing my 3 books, The Secret Book and Scone Society by Ellery Adams, Death by Chocolate Cherry Cheesecake by Sarah Graves, and Death by Chocolate Malted Milkshake, also by Sarah Graves. And of course, don't forget my deal. If I get all 3 done by the 12th, then I will reward myself with the 3rd book in the Amish Candy Shop series, which is Premeditated Peppermint. I am very excited and I hope I reach that goal. Tune in next week to find out if I did. All right, before I let you guys go, we got to do our sparkle goodbye exercise. So start getting up. If you can stand up, and otherwise just stay seating. That's fine. Wave those arms around. Imagine the sparkles coming out. Sparkle, 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 sparkle. Yes. And we're going to end with a flourish in 3, 2, 1. Woo! Yes, lovely. Oh, you guys, I've had so much fun being here with you again this week, and I hope that you did too. But until our next podcast next week, I'm going to let you guys go with peace, blessings, and so much love. Sparkle, sparkle, be kind, and love one another. And of course, happy reading. Bye, guys.